Welcome to ITIL Foundation Bridge version 5 official sample paper 1 recording. The Foundation Bridge exam is actually based on the ITIL Foundation version 5 official book from PeopleCert. However, this is a shorter route to achieve the ITIL Foundation version 5 certificate. The Bridge exam has a slightly reduced syllabus as compared to the ITIL Foundation version 5 syllabus. And that's because there are some concepts from ITIL 4, which have been taken into ITIL Foundation version 5 as well, but those are not tested in the bridge exam, while those are tested in the full foundation exam, but not in the bridge exam. And those include the interpretation of the 7 guiding principles. It also includes some smaller topics, such as the terminology, say, incident and event. And it also includes just a very few things. But for example, the 4 dimensions of service management, they are covered in ITIL Foundation version 5 also, because now they are known as 4 dimensions of product and service management. So this exam is a shorter one. It's a half-an-hour exam with 20 multiple choice questions only. There is no negative marking, and you need about 13 correct answers to pass. Each question is worth 1 mark, and it's a closed book invigilated by a proctor from PeopleCert. I will be reading out these 20 questions one after another and pause a little bit before I reveal the answer, because that allows you to think yourself for the answer. We begin with the first question. Which concept is illustrated when an employee is granted permission to the company's new file sharing platform for daily use? A, warranty, B, goods, C, utility, D, access to resources. You need to recollect all the various terminologies in ITIL version 5 at the foundation level, specifically from the bridge syllabus. And you might notice that a couple of these are the characteristics, such as warranty and utility, and the others are goods, access to resources, which are actually the types of service offerings. So I will leave you with that. So let us understand this better. Warranty, you might know, it is the assurance that a product or service will meet agreed requirements. It doesn't relate to the granting permission to an employee at all. Warranty usually comes in the area of availability, security, capacity, and continuity. Choice B is also incorrect. Transferring goods, of course, it's one of the types of service offerings, wherein the ownership of goods are transferred from the service provider to a service consumer. But in case of digital services, this is quite rare, even though possible form of service interaction. And here in the question, the permission to use a platform is not the transfer of goods. Choice C is also incorrect, because utility is the functionality offered by a product or service to meet a particular need. And it is basically what the service does, and whether a service is fit for purpose or not. Choice D looks good because the service consumer is gaining access to the service provider's resources and uses them according to the agreed terms and conditions. This is what is happening here. And in this case, the employee has been granted permission to use the resource of the file sharing platform. Therefore, choice D would be correct. Access to resources. Question number 2. An IT support engineer assisting a user in configuring their laptop is an example of which concept? A, transfer of goods, B, service actions, C, sustainability, D, access to resources. A bit similar to the previous one, but just a different scenario. The exam, by the way, will be a mix of memory recall questions, which is known as Bloom's Level 1 of learning and testing, and then some understanding type question, which is Bloom's Level 2. Here again, we'll see a mix of, for example, sustainability is one of the characteristics of a product or service, but we also see the other, the transfer of goods and access to resources. These are types of service offerings, including service actions. That is also a type of service offering. Choice A would be incorrect because we have seen earlier transfer of goods is about transferring goods from a provider to a service consumer. Doesn't happen much in digital services, but it can though sometimes. And that essentially means that transferring certain equipment, consumables, and so on. Whereas assisting a user to configuring a laptop is an example of a service action, not an example of transferring goods. Therefore, choice B would be correct, wherein service actions mean actions performed by service provider or jointly by a provider and a consumer. This is a common form of service action, and in the form of service requests. So all kinds of service requests are nothing but service action type of service offering. It can also mean user training, consultation, even delivery of goods in some cases. So B would be correct. Choice C, sustainability is more of an assurance that a product or service meets and will continue to meet requirements for sustainability, such as economic growth, social progress, and environmental stewardship. Choice D is also incorrect because access to resources, wherein the service consumer gains access to the service provider resources and uses them according to agreed terms and conditions. For example, this could be access to an application, access to a cloud system, or whatever on similar lines. So B, service actions would be correct. We have question number 3. What influences whether a service is perceived as valuable by a consumer? A, the service provider's ability to minimize their operational costs. B, the number of providers delivering the service to the consumer. C, the extent to which the positive effects of the service outweigh the negative ones. D, the amount of money the service provider invests in resources. In the given question, whether a service is perceived as valuable by a consumer, choices about operational costs, these do not concern the consumer. But the services provided can introduce new costs and risks. And services are perceived by service consumers as valuable only when they have more positive effects than negative ones. Therefore, A would be incorrect. And for the same reason, C would be correct. And similarly, B is incorrect. And because it's not about the number of providers delivering the service to the consumer, um, which influences whether a service is perceived as valuable by a consumer, or even the amount of money the service provider invests in the resources. That is more the provider's investment. It's unrelated to the consumer's assessment of value. The consumer would rather look at how much they are being charged, what are the risks involved, and how does the product or service support the outcomes that they expect in relation to the cost the consumer incurs and the risks that are likely to happen on the consumer side. Therefore, the correct answer would be C. Question number 4. A service provider commits to using recyclable components, reducing carbon emissions, and maintaining transparent supply chains. Which concept does this commitment represent? A, utility, B, warranty, C, user experience, D, sustainability. Based on some of the previous questions, this should be an easy one. Yes, you might be thinking this is sustainability. Indeed, it is the same. So we already looked at the definitions of the utility, warranty, and sustainability. And just to make it more clear, sustainability requirements may include responsible sourcing of materials and components, responsible work and employment practices for the people, the use of clean energy, low carbon footprint, incorporating recycled and recyclable materials, transparent supply chains, and few others. And these usually originate from national or international regulations and standards, or could be defined in the organization's sustainability strategy, or they will be. User experience is a new thing here, or UX. This is the sum of functional and emotional interactions with a service and service provider as perceived by a service user. So we mark choice D as correct. Sustainability. Number 5. Which dimension of product and service management is directly influenced by leadership commitment to psychological safety and continual learning? A. Partners and suppliers. B. Value streams and processes. C. Information and technology. D. Organizations and people. This is a question related to the 4 dimensions of product and service management. So this is about leadership commitment to psychological safety and continual learning. This could be more of the organization and people dimension, but let's check it out. Choice A would be incorrect, partners and suppliers, because that is more about the external relationships and agreement with external parties, not the internal culture of trust. So this dimension is more of relationships with other organizations involved in discovery, design, build, transition, operation, delivery, support, and continual improvement of products and services. And therefore, it will incorporate contracts and other agreements between organizations and its partners or suppliers. This is the partners and suppliers dimension. Choice B is also incorrect. It is not the value stream and processes because that is concerned with the workflows and efficiency. It can also include the cross-organizational workflows, not only in organizational workflows, and focusing on the activities that an organization performs and how they are organized to enable value for stakeholders effectively and efficiently using the value streams. Choice C, also incorrect. The INT dimension is more about the data, information, and technologies that are used in digital products and services, but also those that are used as part of the organization's product and service management systems as well. So D would be correct because the organization and people dimension is concerned with establishing a culture of trust. This is where digitally enabled organizations are under pressure to continue to improve their performance under changing market conditions. And the challenge really is to foster an effective set of shared beliefs, perceptions, and values in relation to risks, and which is the culture. So that also creates a safety culture and results in behavior that is beneficial for all stakeholders, including the members or the employees of the organization. Therefore, D would be correct. Question number 6. Which of the following dimension of product and service management addresses organizational and cross-organizational workflows? A. Partners and suppliers. B. Information and technology. C. Organization and people. D. Value streams and processes. With the explanations given to the previous question, this should be answerable now. Yes, indeed, you might have got it correct. It will be the choice D, value streams and processes, which deals with the workflows within an organization and also between organizations. Next one is about the guiding principles. Even though the guiding principles themselves are not part of the bridge exam syllabus, but the relationship between the principles are part of the syllabus. So this question is about that. Why should organizations consider the interaction of ITIL guiding principles? A, because principles are interdependent and complement each other. B, because one principle is always superior to the rest. C, because principles must be applied in a strict order. D, because one principle is usually sufficient for any situation. So one thing about the guiding principles in ITIL is it is important to know that they interact with each other and also depend upon each other. For example, let's take the principle of progressing iteratively with feedback. And if an organization is committed to that principle, it should also think and work holistically to ensure that each iteration of improvement includes all the elements necessary to deliver real results. And also, the feedback part of that principle is key to collaboration principle and focusing on what will truly be valuable to the customer, which is focus on value. It makes it easy to keep things simple and practical. So that's how we can see the connection between principles. So A would be correct. Choice B is incorrect because organizations should not use just one or two of the principles. but consider the relevance between them and how they complement each other. And there is also no particular sequence or hierarchy of these principles. They are equally important for the ITIL value system. Choice C also incorrect because principles do not follow a strict order or sequence. And choice D also incorrect because organizations should not use just one or two of the principles. So this is just like choice B. So therefore, choice A would be correct. Question number 8. What is the role of a governing body in an organization? A, it is accountable for performance and compliance at the highest level. B, it is responsible for day-to-day operations. C, it manages the technical details of digital products directly. Or D, it focuses exclusively on financial reporting. Every organization is directed by a governing body, which is a group of people or an individual accountable for the highest level for the performance and compliance of the organization. Therefore, choice A would be correct. Now, day-to-day operations, which is in choice B, that is handled by management, not governance. Because governance provides direction, but execution is delegated to management. Governing body is more concerned with strategic direction, oversight, compliance, and accountability. Whereas management practices enable and support the value chain activities. Choice C also incorrect because technical details of digital products fall under operational and technical teams, not under governing body. So let's say the purpose of an internal technology organization is to support the core business of the company and business with the effective and efficient technology solutions. And business critical digital products and services are developed and delivered internally. Then the internal technology organization is likely to take responsibility for all activities of the digital product and service management. Choice D also incorrect because focusing only on financial reporting is too narrow. Because governance is not just about that, but also compliance, risk, digital technology usage, strategic investment, stakeholder value, and so on. Because the governing body is accountable for the organization's compliance with policies and external regulations, and the governance of the use of digital technology is an important part of corporate governance. So choice A would be the correct answer. Question number 9. Which of the following is not a success metric of the Discover activity? Now, for the Bridge exam, you must be familiar with the metrics of all the 8 activities of the product and service management life cycle, which are also known as the value chain activities. And each of these 8 activities have a few metrics, maybe 3 or 4 metrics. And you have to determine from the list here, which is not a metric for the success of the Discover activity. A, strategic fit of the organization's product and service offerings. B, market relevance of the products and service offerings. C, service performance against agreed SLA targets. D, stakeholder satisfaction with products and service offerings. This is where you have to remember the metrics of the various activities, or at least the one associated with Discover, so that you can eliminate the one which is not part of Discover. So choice is strategic fit. The word strategy makes me think this is part of Discover. So this would be an incorrect answer, because this is a success metric of the Discover activity, strategic fit of the organization's products and service offerings. Choice B, market relevance, also for the products and service offerings. This is also part of the Discover activity set of success metrics. So even stakeholder satisfaction with the products and service offerings, commercial success of the products if applicable, these are all part of the metrics of Discover. So B is also incorrect. Choice C, service performance against agreed SLA target, is not a metric of the Discover activities from the Deliver activity. So therefore, C would be correct. Choice D is also a metric of the Discover activity, as we have explained earlier. Therefore, the correct answer would be choice C, which is not from the Discover but Deliver. Service performance against the agreed SLA targets. Question number 10. Which of the following describes a management practice? A series of steps that an organization uses to create and deliver products. B, a set of organizational resources and capabilities designed to perform work or accomplish an objective. C, a visual representation of how an organization co-creates value with stakeholders. D, a set of interconnected activities that an organization performs to create and deliver products. So here, choice A, this is a value stream because a value stream is a series of steps that an organization uses to create and deliver products and services to a service consumer, thereby facilitating value. So this is incorrect. Choice B would be correct because management practice is in fact a set of organizational resources, capabilities designed and adopted for performing work or accomplishing an objective. Choice C is about the operating model. It's a conceptual and or visual representation of how an organization co-creates value with its customers and other stakeholders, as well as how the organization runs itself. Different types of organizations have different operating models. So they usually consist of the value chain activities at the highest level, the management system, the information system, the locations, the supply chain, and so on. And for example, a hotel would have a different operating model as compared to a software development company. So C is also incorrect. Choice D, this is the value chain definition, a set of interconnected activities that an organization performs to create and deliver valuable products or services to its consumers and to facilitate value realization. And in fact, the value chain is one of the critical elements of the operating model. Therefore, choice B would be correct. Number 11. Which of the following is not one of the steps in value stream mapping? A, value stream identification. B, mapping of the as-is value stream. C, mapping a to-be value stream. D, value stream management. We are moving on to other topics now in this practice. Choice A is part of the value stream mapping. It basically includes the following steps: value stream identification, then mapping the as-is value stream, then analyzing the value stream, then mapping a to-be value stream, then planning and implementing improvements. Therefore, for the reason, due to this explanation, A, B, and C all are incorrect because these are steps in the value stream mapping. Choice D would be the correct answer. So value stream management is the regular focus to improve existing value streams. And of course, value stream mapping will be needed for that. But value stream mapping is more like a one-off exercise to go through those 5 steps. But organizations can improve only when they perform value stream management by regularly reviewing the performance of their value streams. So D would be correct. Number 12. What is a digital product? A formal description of one or more services designed to address consumer needs, that is choice A. Choice B is the access to the service provider's resources and their use according to the agreed terms and conditions. C, the combination of an organization's resources based on digital technology and designed to offer value to consumers. D, actions performed by a service provider or jointly by a service provider and consumer. We need to pick the one that has the correct description of a digital product. So choice A is more the definition of a service offering. Because it can be a formal description of one or more services designed to address the needs of a target consumer group. It can be either goods, access to resources, or service actions. And in the digital world, the most common one is the access to resources. And to some extent, service actions and not the goods at all. Those are physical. Choice B, incorrect because this is the definition of access to resources, wherein the consumer gains access to providers' resources and uses them agreed terms and conditions. Choice C would be correct because digital products are indeed a combination of an organization's resources based on digital technology and designed to offer value to consumers. So, for example, a software application or a mobile application is a digital product because it uses certain technology components, which are the organization's resources. And it'll also require certain people to develop and use those components to develop the applications. It may have been developed by a third party, and there'll be a procedure to develop or a process to develop the application. Therefore, that digital product or application has combined resources from all the four dimensions. Choice D is incorrect because this is the definition of service actions, which is a set of actions performed by a service provider or jointly by a service provider and service consumer. And this is typically the service requests. Therefore, C would be the correct answer. Number 13. Which of the following is not one of the digital product and service lifecycle management activities? A. Build. B. Design. C. Discover. D. Obtain. You need to recollect those 8 activities. The correct answer would be choice D because obtain is not one of the lifecycle management activities of the product and service lifecycle. And if you have familiarity with ITIL 4, you might remember obtain or build was one of the 6 value chain activities therein. But in ITIL version 5, we don't have it. We have others such as support, acquire, transition, deliver, and these ones which are listed here. So D, obtain, would be the correct answer. Number 14, what is the main purpose of the discover activity? A, to develop and test digital products. B, to secure and allocate resources efficiently. C, to align product capabilities with consumer needs and strategy. D, to maintain and monitor digital products. Choice A is incorrect because developing and testing is part of the build activity, wherein it develops, integrates, and tests digital products, transforming designs into functional solutions. Choice B is also incorrect because securing resources is from the acquire activity, which secures and allocates necessary resources efficiently, ensuring sustainability and scalability of products and services. Choice C would be correct because it has the word strategy, because the main purpose of the discover activity is to ensure continual alignment of the product roadmaps and related service offerings with the needs of service consumers and with the organizational strategy. C would be correct. Choice D is incorrect because maintaining and monitoring digital products is the purpose of the operate activity. It also supports the systems and the products and ensuring optimal performance and reliability. So C would be correct. Number 15, which lifecycle management activity is focused on creating prototypes and specifications? A, design. B, deliver. C, support. D, transition. Let us recollect the purpose of the design activity. It creates prototypes and specifications for products and services, detailing their functionality, user experience, and operational framework. Therefore, choice A would be correct with reference to the question. Choice B is incorrect because the deliver is for providing services to users, managing user onboarding or offboarding, maintaining service quality standards, and gathering consumer feedback. So deliver can, for example, include typically service requests to be delivered and other actions that are possible. Choice C also incorrect because support activity will identify and resolve incidents, fulfill disaster recovery procedures, and capture consumer feedback. Choice D also incorrect because transition activity seamlessly introduces new or updated products into operational environments and ensures effective onboarding, offboarding of suppliers. So A, design would be correct.